All right, I think it's going. All right, so yeah, so that's a quick intro of me and where I'm at with Arkavo's network. But what I really want to, so I've been developing this app, and I want to just point out my journey with DevSecOps. So we will go through that today, and then also show, there's three parts. One of it will be part of a maturity model. We'll get an understanding of DevSecOps maturity model, and then how that would pertain to some companies, and then I'll show how that is mapping to my startup. So, and then maybe a demo of some AI work that I've been doing. It's not in good shape, but I just wanted to demo that, and it's AI-powered DevSecOps. That's the idea. So, all right, so, and most of us probably know this here. So, right, it used to just be development, and there was operations, and then the term DevOps came out, and people just found out, oh yeah, I'm DevOps. And then the big one is now called DevSecOps, and maybe we should change our name to DevSecOps Columbia. But yes, so DevSecOps, and it's really about, they call it shift left, right? You take the security that usually happens late in the cycle of a application, and you shift it left. And yes, and a big part of that is the monitoring and testing. And DevSecOps, one of the big parts of that is, it is through that whole pipeline, right? The whole life cycle. And you really want to get everyone aware of it, right? You need testers to know about it, you need developers to consider it, and the operations need to be aware. So that education and all that is really what powers it. So, and a lot of people won't recognize this, but it will make things faster, right? So usually you'll develop fast, and if there's a security issue near the end of deployment, right, they're like doing these penetration testing, and they're like, we can't roll it out. So that's a big problem. So you want to get that shifted left, right? So yeah, there's a couple of frameworks, standards. So so I've been a developer for a long time, a lot of web, front-end developers and web, such. So I really like OWASP, and OWASP is, it really came out in the beginning of the web, and it was really about how to secure your web applications. And they've stayed around, and they've grown, and we'll be reviewing the maturity model here. And then they also have more software, and a lot of this is related, right? A lot of this is standards, basically. So, right, OWASP is the Open Web Application Security Project. It's really nice. It's global, so you'll see a lot of companies, individuals throughout the world, and so they have a lot of nice libraries, right? I remember at healthcare.gov, we were using their Java libraries to do our input sanitation. So it's not only standards, they provide code, and then education. So it's a nice organization, and if you haven't checked it out, check it out. So what is really nice, and I just stumbled upon this, and I really like their maturity model because they create a visual with it. And like most maturity models, right, it's really structured. And it gives you measurable practices, right? You're able to measure where you're at in regards to, there's like 15 different areas. So it's real nice. And then, and it gives you the roadmap. So it really gives you a nice roadmap of what you need to do, right? You may be low in one area, but you know how to get out, get more mature, right? So really nice. So and it just gives a lot of help, and it even recommends tools and such, right? but you get your automated security checks, right? You can integrate that in your build pipeline, your test pipeline. Putting the tools in that pipeline. And then there's also a nice mapping between compliance, right? If you're FedRAMP or need some ISO checks, right? When auditors come in, you can say, yes, we're meeting these. And this is a nice way to do it. And the other thing is once you get an organization educated on this framework, you can now do cross-team communication, right? What level are you for the build, right? They can say level 4, level 5. And it's real nice. It's nice in that regard. So let me see if this works. I just want to show the interactive part of... Okay. So this is... So this is the app. So they give you a full app, and the way that it's designed, there's a GitHub version. So what you do is you fork it, you run it, and then that's how you save your. There's no database, but you save the you save it to a file. Basically, that's what happens. There's a YAML file that shows your state. So this describes the different areas. Right, logging's one of them. Just a process, right? A defined process. You're early in the design. These are the things you should consider. Building deployment, and then there's a lot of things for testing. And what you see here is the levels, right? So basic up to advanced. And if we go into one, what you'll see is just. So this is one of the sections, right? It says, right, a description and the risks, what it measures. You can see a lot more. The implementation guide, and then your ISO mappings here, and then the SAM mapping. So this is the real layout, but then you get this graph, right? So, and this is interactive. So you can, do you have a defined build process? Or are developers building off their machine and then deploying something, right? You say, okay, it's defined. And you click here and you see that same view. So really nice app, right? Really, really nice. And all these areas, and I might go into more later, but so this is the app. This is what you, let's see, where's my, okay. So that is, I hope I didn't hit that. And once you get a mature product, right, it's just, we all know what's happening. Your incidents go down, and then you're faster and improve security. So now, so what does this look like? So for a high mature company, right, most of these will be filled out. So development, you'll see development here. They've embraced it. They have a nice build. The deployment's there. And then they also have application testing here. And they've put in nice logging that enables monitoring. So this shows some of the development part of this graph. And then you'll see the testing, right? There's application testing and infrastructure testing. You see this is built out. And the operations, it's a little fuzzy there. So, but the operations process is here. And you can tell there's consolidation that shows the teams working together, right? Being able to communicate and such. And it follows the whole life cycle, right? The whole life cycle is there. So it's a real great visual of showing where the company is at. So this is a low maturity company. So what you'll see here is development is doing, they've got a build, they got a nice deployment. The operations are doing okay, they've got a process, but they're not doing security testing. Their monitoring's not it's okay. But what this shows is a group that it's good at development, right? Good at DevOps, but they're missing the DevSecOps. So this is what they would look like. And now this is this will happen. This is called when you have good ops, but your development is immature in the security sense. So you'll see, good logging and such. Operations will have their process. And then the deployment, that's usually run by ops. And then the build's okay. So you'll see a lot of missing testing around the app. And the app is not designed around security. So this gives a sense of operations good, development poor, right? And you usually hit this. What happens is you'll have a company that's established, has a good DevSecOps group, but then you'll get like an executive saying, we could go faster if we don't do DevSecOps. And they're like, okay, let's create our own app, and let's develop it in greenfield and all this stuff, and we can deploy it, get it deployed and do all this stuff. Well, then you can't deploy it. They forgot about SQL injection, right? You can't deploy the app. So that's usually what this shows. So that gives a quick, well, not quick, but that gives an overview of the DSO maturity model, right? DevSecOps maturity model. So for a startup, right, it's going to look totally different. But I wanted to point this out. So really what you need to do, and this is ideation, right? This is early in the startup phase. So this is really coming about what you need to consider early on. And that is data security is usually one of it, right? You need to know your threat modeling, how people are going to attack your data, and your compliance, right? A lot of people miss what they need. So if you're dealing with consumers' data, you need to, depending on your market, you need to protect that data. And if you miss these checkboxes, if you don't fill that out, you don't have a way to forget me, right? Being able to delete people's data, you will get in trouble with government. The other one is the culture. You really want to establish the culture and classifying what data. Like I said, if it's user data and such. So it's really you really want to build just this part out, right? It's design phase, but it's important in the beginning. Next is pre-seed, right? This is before. So you're trying to create a proof of concept type app, right? And you don't want to. So in the startup, you don't have customers, right? You have a fixed amount of money and a short amount of time. So you will make a lot of tough decisions, right? I can't go all in on. It'll have a lot of bugs, right? You really just want to prove in the market that there's a need for it. But you do not. You can establish some things early, and it's version control, right? You get it off your drive, put in some sort of version control, start doing some access control around that, in the GitHub, in the source control and the operational, right? You want to do that right in the beginning. And secure coding, right? If you add the input sanitation in early, at least the hooks, right? You want that to be a step, and it may not be fully fleshed out. And then you want your people to know, which is easy to do, because you're a startup, you're only going to be a couple of people. Now the seed is you have a nice, you're deploying it, you think you have customers, and you really want to get out there with that. And but you're the code you're getting is what you will launch with it. So you want a nice pipeline, right? You want your some nice scanners running, and you want to start considering your dependencies of the application. You don't want to import, like with Node, it's terrible because you import tons of dependencies. You need to keep track of that. And generally it's smaller the better. And you want to start thinking about infrastructure as code, right? Terraform and such. And then your environments, right? You start building out your environments. So not just production, not just deploying to production, but that. And you can see how this looks. And what happens is when you do the static testing, right, the scanners, then you've already got these areas of testing built out. So when we looked at the other apps, the other organizations that wasn't following those, they were real blank here. You're already at this point. So this is a nice position to be in at this stage. And then launch, you really build it out. So, but you have a nice, but you really just, this really should have been built out a little bit more. But now you're just expanding what you've already built, right? You're adding just more testing, right? You have a nice test flow. You're about to launch. You need to make sure that your money flow is working and such. You can put your pen testing in that flow. And then things around just operations, right? A response plan and logging and stuff. So this is right before launch. This is where you should be at. And in growth, that's when you're hiring people. Now, the main thing about that is your education part, which is here. So you really want to build that out first and start bringing in your people, and you'll be building out your testing. So, and then locking down more your resource, right, with IAM roles. So you have more people, you lock it down more. So that's it. So that is going through the how a startup should go through and considering DevSecOps on each of the stages. So this is Arkavo. So this will be a little bit of, so this is my app. So it is an iOS app, and it protects content creators' content. So they own that content that it lives on their phone. They can share it, and then they can unshare it, and they have really strong data controls on it, and it's all encrypted at the data layer, and it's shareable on this. And with the phones, it's really nice to. We're on iOS, so it's really locked down platform, and it's with the latest AI, it's really strong and really powerful in that sense. So and it's a high-speed network. So the important things to know is it's iOS app, and then we have a couple servers and not much storage. So going to the ideation stage, right? So we've went with OpenTDF. So OpenTDF, a couple people here know what it is, but it's a great data security platform. So and we're protecting content, right? Data's content for content creators. There's a couple of different TDF formats. We're using the Nano TDF, and it's a real fast, small format. It's used to go over satellites. That's what it's built for, and communicating with drones. So a lot of this OpenTDF comes from the military side, and NSA. So you'll have that too. Did it stop?
No, it's good. Do you mind if I adjust it to get the whole screen in?
Oh yeah. Thank you. And like I said, the storage is on the device, and now one of the interesting things is people are able to do. With the TDF, since the whole content is protected. It's easily able to do scans for like hate speech. So we have like a nice clean room where we do those government scans. And the other thing was WebAuth. So we decided the pass key, because a lot of people get phished, and we know DevSecOps. So this was our consideration with. It's our design, but we thought about the security part and really base that off that. The next thing is, which is nice, is with a lot of the testing and build and deployment, there should be a little bit more testing here. But GitHub is great, right? So we did open source, we're doing sonar scans, and you can put those GitHub actions are really nice. So you can really get pretty far in your DevSecOps maturity model if you just go with the nice platforms. And that wasn't the case even like 5 years ago. But so that's what we went with. And like I said, the GitHub actions are really nice. And dependency management, that is, what's nice about that is what is that bot? There's like a dependency bot that will, Dependabot. So Dependabot, make sure you enable that on all your repos. Such a great thing. And you really want to start thinking about infrastructure as code at this stage. And so what we've been doing is, we'll see it later, but we're going with CloudFormation. Configuration as code. We looked at Apple Pickle, if you've ever seen that. It's not ready for prime time. Don't use that one. And then policy as code. I forget what we're using for that. But so it's more than just infrastructure as code. You should really look at all these.
Is it policy as code? Is it open policy? Open policy agent?
Oh, that is, we do use that at, yes. So.
I don't know if we're currently using it.
Oh, right. So OpenTDF used to use it. Why did we remove it? It's too slow?
I think it didn't really take advantage of it. Like, if you looked at it, it was just kind of like calling out to a web service. And like our implementation of it was great.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy-handed.
Right.
If you're not using it to its extent, like I wouldn't say it's worthless, but
Yeah,
it doesn't fill out the chart where the priorities are.
Yeah, a rule-based language that makes stuff in it for a while.
Right. That's right. They do have an enterprise version that's supposedly faster. Has anyone used that by chance? The OPA? No.
I've never paid for it.
Yeah, right. So.
Sorry, what service were you just talking about?
So there's policy as code. It's called Open Policy Agent. You'll hear OPA, and it uses a language called Rego, and it's right. Yeah, it's nice. So a lot of government agencies use that as for policy, and
yeah, it's similar to like any other infrastructure as code, right? Like you can go and check in the repos and then get reviews, and theoretically it's all under peer review, and so everyone's agreed on what it should be. As long as everybody follows that, you're fine.
yeah.
You know, magic rainbow path to production.
Right. So we did look at Kubernetes at one point. So Kubernetes is not a fit for what we're building, right? The real-time messaging. We don't use much storage, and we need a lot of endpoints because we use WebSockets. So most of our resources is keeping that persistent connection. So Kubernetes didn't work for us, but we did like this company, so Construct. They have a product called KubeFirst, and it's really wraps Terraform, Vault, GitOps, Argo CD, and has a nice command line. And they also have another product where you can easily install onto Kubernetes on the bare metal, which is always, I've never been able to do it, but now they have this other product. So, right, this is your infrastructure as code. These are your secrets. This is your CI. Both of these are, well, that's your concepts and that's your CI system in CD. So where I'm currently at, which I'll try to demo it, but it's not the best demo. But I have, and in consideration of keeping my costs down, I'm looking at AI agents. So the design is really we want this Mac Mini, right? We want to keep it offline when we don't need it, right? We keep our secrets on here. We keep our infrastructure code on here, and but when this will monitor our system. So we're going to be multi-cloud, maybe even bare metal, but we will be running Llama 3.2 locally. So that's everyone's familiar with LLMs, and so it runs locally. So it's not the big, it's called frontier models, such as OpenAI and the Claude ones. So this actually comes from Facebook, right? It's open source, and but it runs quite well. So I bought the new M4 Mac Mini, right, the base one. I was like, I'll just use it to throw secrets on, and I'll keep it in a closet. Well, this thing's fast, and you can put Llama 3.2 on it, and the smaller model, and it runs. You can ask it questions, and it's really nice. So now we have a fast LLM running, right? So there's LangChain and also LangGraph. That's the newer version. So what that really enables now is AI agents. So with the agents, it's really nice because it's a really nice framework. I was at a hackathon, I guess last Friday, and the two groups that won, they had to create advanced AI for government reasons, right, for certain things. And the two people that won were the ones that used LangChain. So I chose the newer one, Graph here, but it's extremely powerful agianic framework. And there's a bunch of AI agents that are pre-built by the community. So you can just plug these into CloudFormation. And then you can just ask it questions and give it directives. So should I switch over? Yeah, okay. So I'm going to switch over to the Mac and see if it works. But let me ask, is anyone using AI in a DevSecOps type environment? Anyone care to share with that?
I use it every day.
So can you describe a little bit how it works and how it works for you and the pros and cons?
Yeah, I mean, there's like two use cases. Well, there's like three use cases. One is like, here's a doc, I'm way too lazy to read it. Tell me what I should care about. Put your DevOps hat on. Tell me why I should care.
Yep.
That's pretty good. The limitation on that is usually whether or not the LLM can actually reach out to the internet or not. So some of them can do internet access, some of them can't. And then of course, this isn't my problem anymore, but back in the day, couldn't go to the internet to do those kinds of things. But then the other like two real use cases where I'm like, I'm way too lazy to do a regex or something, and I'm like, hey, this, give it to me, and it spits it out. Or I'll give it some sort of infrastructure as code and say, hey, these are the changes I want to make, or these are the types of improvements I want to make suggestions. The cons that I usually run into is that like once it gets down a certain path, it's nearly impossible to back out. Like it'll just keep circling back and giving you the wrong answer. And I'll say, no, that's incorrect, this is the right way to do it. It'll say, oh, great. And it'll then like kind of parrot back what I said, but it'll, as soon as I ask the follow-on question or the follow-on iteration, it'll go back up to the wrong answer and try and like iterate on that. So a lot of times I end up just so.
Excellent. Very interesting.
Yeah, the prompt column, if you improve your prompts to
I'm sure. Yeah. I don't know. My problem is usually I get to a point where it becomes too complicated and it just gets stuck. And I don't know how to get out of it.
It when it goes down that wrong road, right? It's built these weights and such, and it can't. Like you said, it can't get out of that. So you have to really clear the context and start anew, which you lose some things. And the other thing I learned, so there's an OpenAI person at this hackathon. He said there's a problem with context size. I was like, I'm going to make a really big, buy a Big Mac and put really big context. He's
Token problem or whatever it is, like too many tokens.
it's well, no, this one, what he said is the LLMs will only look at the beginning and the end, and then they lose the middle.
Oh, interesting.
So you can't go big because it doesn't matter. It just loses that, and they don't know why. That's what he said.
change the context.
Say it again.
Can you have like a series of smaller contexts and have them be?
Oh, that's interesting. So that sounds a little bit more like RAG. So what they do is the LLM will query things. So so if there's a hit, right, they create a vector database and it'll query that with whatever whatever context it has, and if there's a hit, then it'll load it in. So I don't think that'll fix it either.
Yeah.
But
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm done.
I was going to say is I've had pretty good luck with taking a large problem and like almost treating it like a really junior engineer.
Like doing it yourself,
Well,
breaking it up yourself.
yeah, exactly. And like it's funny is like you were talking about the weighted stuff, which I guess makes sense because like I've had really good luck where I'm like I've got this problem and I'd like to focus on this, and it's like okay, and if it gets it right, I say you did a really great job. I'd like to continue to iterate on that, and for whatever reason that works, which is wild to me that I'm like all right, whatever. Like I know how to manage junior engineers, it's fine, and it gets me there, and it's faster than typing all of the code out. So, but it's pretty interesting.
That's right. Yes. Come on. Why would that happen? Maybe it's already running. So one thing let's see. So this is lane graph. So, sorry, hold on. Am I on? So,
Your issue because it was complaining about like SSH or something.
yeah, that was strange. That means I can't take it offline like I was planning. So this is this is length graph, yeah. What did I want to point out here? So there's a nice guide to run through. So if you want to get a little bit familiar, I would just go to here and there's a quick start that goes through. I'm not going to do it now, but that's nice. Let's see if this starts. Yeah. That means it's calling out. Why would it? Okay, that's something to look at later. Okay, this is starting. And this is running Klima. So I'm using stuff like OpenBAO. Is that how you pronounce it? So instead of Vault, if anyone's familiar with Vault and Terraform.
It's like the Vault as Terraform is open to
So
What did Terraform do?
They're just taking more stuff private. Like all the future development, HashiCorp is doing not going to be public, or it's under a fairly GPL or something.
Yeah, they changed the license.
right.
Yeah, upset that people were reading about them.
WordPress.
I think WordPress got a different problem. With Terran at the top.
All right, so, okay, it's up. So one of the things is, so I went with lane graph, right? And instead of lane chain, but this is how my graph looks. So I need to fix this. But you had mentioned it's not able to call out to the internet. So there is a lot of agents that, like I said, the community agents you can use. And one of them is DuckDuckGo. So you can just enable DuckDuckGo, and now your LLM can reach out to the internet and do searches. And so this is your Llama 3.2 locally running, able to do internet searches, right? This was a big thing from OpenAI 6 months ago. They've enabled that. So you have that functionality here locally. So now I have an LLM up. So if I say, is this a good? So I've built my own agents, right? They didn't have a Docker one, so I built a Docker one. So if I go here, list, sorry. Did it work? No, it bombed out. So, connection refused. Oh, my Llama's not running. Okay. So Ollama is really nice, and I'm not sure exactly how it works, but basically it is a nice framework that you can pull your models into, and I think it creates a nice, just like a REST API. So I've included here like some Ollama stuff, but it's just making API calls to Ollama, which then calls into all the models. Let's see if this is up. List. So this is, so it's called, yeah. So it's called the Ollama, and like I said, I've imported DuckDuckGo. I've created 3 agents here, and we've just executed what happens is you register, and it's all Python code, right? So you just register those agents, and now you can just talk to your system, right? Hey, list the Docker containers. And if you were just command line, you could do it too, but now you could just freeform language, right? And then you can do the other, I've opened a bow, so I can now check my secrets. I think it'll fail because there's a bug here. Right, list my secrets. So this will, it's invoking a list secrets action, and oh, I know it. So there's keys that API keys, so that's why it's getting 4 or 3. But you can see it's calling out to the service. So now you can connect these. You can say, so when you start up a service here, let's see. So here's my token. So now I can say, get the token from my OpenBow and then use that in the API. And so you start stitching these together with real natural language. And so that's where I'm at. So it's not the best demo, but it just shows you can take, like I said, a lot of those that infrastructure as code. I have GitLab in here, right? I could say, oh, the other one is, Um, uh, the, list my repos. Did it call out? So yeah, you can see it's calling out to GitLab. It's listing its repos, and it fails. But the point is, now, these are just little bugs, but you have that capability of a local LLM running your local GitLab CE, your local secrets, your local infrastructure as code, right? Could be in that GitLab CE, your local database, all contained within a Mac Mini that is really secured. So that is our DevSecOps approach for Arkavo. So thank you.
How do you back up your Mac Mini? What's your...
So it would be, so the keys, right, will be on a YubiKey. So the keys will be backed up and separated. And then the plan was just to do, Macs come with that time machine thing. It's always worked well for me. So that was the idea, just an external drive, swap it, go off site, and put a new one in. So that was a backup mechanism. Yeah, that's as far as we thought. All right. Well, thank you.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, I was hoping to get a little bit further. So the next steps will be, actually creating something in AWS and then creating the same thing in Google Cloud. Then I multi-cloud.
Who do you think would be the user for this? I mean, it seems like it's something that, as a technical person, you would be able to get this information. It's just easier for you to type it in a natural language.
That's one part of it. That's kind of what I showed. But now you can, the LLM will pull some data, right? Pull a secret, pull sign something with an agent, right? You'll have to build a whole lot of agents, but it will be the orchestrator. That's the what I wasn't able to show, but it orchestrates that. I could just say, okay, it can monitor AWS. Says, oh, we're having high high CPU usage, scale up. You don't have to tell it. It knows. It'll scale up. And then using, right, the policy as code and stuff, you can put limits on it. And so that's the idea, right? It's more of an orchestrator. And
What's the Disney cartoon where the Mickey Mouse has
The source of the
Fantasia,
Yeah.
the Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Yeah.
so I'm gonna use this in production, and I'll see if I get in that situation.
Have you ever seen the work terminal?
No.
So I'm wondering if work would be able to use this as a backend or like an input or whatever. So like work.dev is a fancy terminal. It's got like AI and LLMs and stuff like that. And it's the kind of same. It's a more polished front end.
Yeah, right.
Kind of this where like you can literally just be like, hey, give me the contents of the directory,
Right.
and then it'll do the suggestion and be like, do you need ls space -al,
Right,
or
right.
whatever.
Yeah.
But I wonder if, because I haven't really used it that much, but I wonder if you'd be able to plug that into this, and then you have like a pretty interface, and then all the cool stuff
Right.
in the back end.
Right. Julian, you have a UI that you have with our other LLM, right?
I'm running a version of Llama 3.2 that's open to the internet. That's what you're talking about.
Yes, but you put a front end on it?
I think you did that.
No, the one with
You're talking about the web UI?
Yeah, the web UI to it.
There is a Docker image that hosts a web UI that accesses the Llama. The APIs for Llama are based on the ones for OpenAI. They kind of set the standard for how conversations are shared So there is a gentleman in Korea made this Docker image that hosts a website that interfaces to your backend. It's a little buggy. It's not really production ready.
Okay.
It's, you can download different models, really exotic models if you like. I'm really interested in this Warp Dev terminal though.
Yeah, my buddy uses it. He swears by it. I mean, I just didn't know my term too because. But it seems pretty cool, especially like again, like I think that this is a great plugin for something like that, assuming they have that. But it's also like really good for, I would say, like more junior folks that are like, or for lazy me that's like, give me the steps for this. Like, I don't want to do a regex.
Right. Right. Yeah.
My development workflow is also, I'm a GPT-4 premium subscriber. I'm just using that on daily. Yesterday I was sending it pictures of Keycloak. Tell me what to do. Well, Keycloak, they changed a lot in the last
Right.
6 months, so GPT is a little confused. One thing I really wanted, and I've tried to do this before, was I've got this code that's failing. And my current workflow is run it, copy the error in the code, send it into GPT, see what it comes up with. I would like to iterate that process. So as long as it's failing, it's just sending the code and the errors back to GPT. Yeah, I think that this setup, especially, I think maybe you're thinking to implement this LLM or use it to implement OWASP standards.
Right. Yes. Right. That's really why I went over that whole thing. Is
That'd be awesome.
yeah. Right.
Like,
Then you have it.
Go over my code and point out all the things that are wrong, and then it points it out and be like, okay, now fix it.
Right. And that is right. That
As
is
long
exactly
as you pass
the
all
right.
your tests, right?
Yes. Right. And it's really so it's open source too. So you can I mean it's not much code, but the idea is it's open source. Anyone can pull it. People can fork it and then create their own agents and such. And the other thing that's really important, right, is that it runs all in one box. I just want to reinforce that because you don't want to be sharing secrets or content or credentials with any, other online AI system. So that's why this is being built, right? It's all self-contained, all autonomous. So yeah. Yeah, it's so good. And the responses are quick. It's the I have a Mac Studio one Mac Studio, and it's slow compared to this. It's more than twice as fast for the neural processing. It's quite amazing. So if you have a spare $600, yeah, I would pick up a Mac Mini. Nice.
It is, when you run it locally, it's a lot quicker than GPT or Claude or any of the online services.
But yes, that's the other point. So do you have? I did have the Claude HiQ. I was calling out to that, and it's bigger and it does do the inference or the response faster, but it's so laggy that startup period of I don't know what it's doing, but I switched to this. I was going to switch later, but I was like, it's so much faster with it local, and it's so powerful. So
Oh, I've got a Ubuntu PC. It has a NVIDIA 3060 GPU in it. And 3.2, Mama 3.2 is smaller than 3.1.